Thanks for tuning in to this session of Beyond Bitcoin's Delegate Edition. Giving potential delegates a unique opportunity to discuss their ideas, plans, and goals to help fortify the BitShares ecosystem. If you're a potential delegate and would like to create your own hangout, then please send your request to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com. Are you finding yourself addicted to our hangouts? Need the next fix? Then please vote for our delegate, fuzzy.beyondbitcoin. Again, that's fuzzy.beyondbitcoin. In addition, you can also check out our new website, beyondbitcoinshow.com, for the latest recordings and events. Now let's join in with our featured delegate.
Welcome to another Beyond Bitcoin Delegate Hangout. Today we are joined by BrotherG to talk about his delegate proposal to help work on the African BitShares initiative for the BitShares flagship's decentralized exchange DAC. If you enjoy these hangouts and would like to keep them open and running, please consider voting for the fuzzy.beyondbitcoin delegate. Follow us on Twitter @beyond_Bitcoin and share our recorded hangouts with your friends and family. Also visit us on the www.beyondbitcoinshow.com site. The format for these hangouts will be to start with a 5 to 10 minute project introduction from BrotherG. We will then move on to community questions. As I am also a community member, I will ask my own questions. But if you don't have a microphone or just are a wallflower and don't want to ask the question out loud, please ask in the chat box in the side panel, and I will do my best to fit it in. With that said, thank you, BrotherG, for coming on. Thank you for having passion about this BitShares project. And do you want to share with us some of your project's plans?
I will indeed, my friend. How you doing, everybody in the BitShares community?
Hi there.
Thanks.
Hello.
All right. Well, listen. My plan is complicated in one sense, and then it's kind of simple in another sense. A lot of people have been talking about opening up the blockchain space, the Bitcoin space, the BitShares space, and trying to push it out and make it, grow, utilizing, different demographics. And I noticed this when I first got into it, and I saw what was going on. I went to a few of the conferences and all that, and I did not see really a lot of movement towards that way. There's a lot of what I call geek speak, constant geek speak, and not a lot of movement to really make things grow in the way that it actually should. And I think that Bitcoin was really lucky because I haven't seen anybody in the BitShares space with the type of pragmatism that I've seen over here, led by you guys in Bytemaster. And I think that Bitcoin really lucked up because they came out at a time when there was a great political turmoil, over in Cyprus, the Chinese thing, the thing with Argentina, and they really lucked up. And then on top of that, you had the whole Silk Road thing. And that's what I think they were riding on. I think that they really lucked out because those political things and kind of, off-brand kind of outlaw social things were going on. And it really helped to grow, Bitcoin and make it, huge and extreme. But I don't think it was due to what their own really extraordinary efforts to make it had. It's almost like they stumbled into it almost, because of what was going on. And now they are the leader. I think that if BitShares would have been out there and would have been more well known during that time, the page would have been really flipped. I think that BitShares would have been in the place that Bitcoin is in now. For the biggest reason that I think is just so much more practical and useful. So as I was, observing all this going on, I was also doing my own projects, and I am an author and I am a producer of animation. I'll point you guys to a couple of the things you can see that I've done. I got a couple of things online you can take a look at. And the problem with, of course, any type of production it's getting the funding and getting the the attention of people so you can compete with the big guys. And I looked at what was going on in the BitShares in the Bitcoin space, and I compared the two, and I said, you know what, to pair up with the right group of people, BitShares would be it, because they're just so much more essential and so much more useful. And also people can understand BitShares when you explain it to them a lot easier than you can explain Bitcoin. Because it's more practical. So my thing is this. Here's the bottom line. If I find a way to help to create, fund, and market and pay for animated series and other types of things geared towards the worldwide African community, I will go a long way towards getting them to pay for it and to stay in a space to pay for it. And BitShares will be the hallmark of that space. I'm talking about right now in different places around the world, mostly in Africa, a couple other places. The digital currency is it. They're using digital currency, phone-based digital currency in a much broader way. And the thing about African people is that African people, we're very communal people. When we see some other African people doing something and it's effective, it doesn't take a lot to get us to come over there and to at least try it out. So a lot of people know that a lot of people are using digital money over in Africa and a couple other places. And if they see that you can use this digital money to get a hold to stuff that you're not getting, meaning entertainment that you want to see, where the black people are featured, prominently in stories and history and background that you've never seen before, you will get people to come in and they will transfer their money into BitShares and BitUSD, which is what I'm really, hoping for. And they will utilize that money to buy what it is that they cannot get from somewhere else. It's sort of like a win-win position for both, for both groups. And that's, that's in a nutshell where I'm going with this thing, to make BitShares an environment for commerce, an environment for the saving of money and the movement of money, with the carrot hanging over people, is that you can use it to get something that no one else is giving you, which is this, this fantastic programming that myself and my partner in the Bahamas are putting together. My partner is Jeffrey Portier, and Jeffrey Portier is Sidney Portier's nephew. Sidney Portier raised him, and the Portiers are sort of like the Kennedys over there in the Bahamas area. So we really have the government behind us also in this. And once you get a hold to the Bahamas is sort of like a leader. They're in a leadership role in the Caribbean. If you can get something to float there, then it will spread like wildfire throughout the Caribbean, and then other people will come on board also. So that's part of where I'm going. It's giving you the sort of nutshell about it.
So this is really interesting. Is there are there any specific plans that you can kind of give the community members who are here and those who are going to be listening after the fact, with respect to milestones that you'd like to reach, how you plan to start this off?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I'm going to issue an asset called a BitNoob or BitNubian. And this asset is going to be attached to, it's not just a crowdfunding type of thing, but that's part of it. But it goes beyond that. I'm starting something called the BitNubian Media Collective. And the BitNubian Media Collective is sort of like a fraternal type of thing, where people pool their money into a certain system, and the system works to provide them with their needs. In this case, the BitNubian Media Collective is going to be media that all African people and other people in the world can consume all over the place, and with BitShares as sort of like the the oil. We're going to release this BitNubian. And when you get a hold to one of the BitNubians are going to give you certain rights and things like that. Everybody knows how these user issued assets are designed. It's sort of like a combination of a coupon and a baseball card. So the gist of it is, as these mated adventures get more and more popular, as the thing grows, the BitNubians, of course, will grow in price. They're going to be fungible, tradable, collectible. People around the world, if you want to give somebody some type of gift or something like that, a BitNubian would be very good to do that.
It's very interesting because it seems like a lot of are you guys who are here on a weekly basis seeing a pattern with people who are wanting to create content and market content?
Well, there's a few offers up, that's for sure.
Have you noticed, though, that their models and how they're planning on doing this, it almost seems like they're almost interested in something that would be close to running their own DAC. If you've noticed this.
I thought about that, man. I really have thought about that. I've looked into the whole DAC situation. I know what they're doing over there on the play side, and I'm still considering that, man. There's a lot to what we're doing, though, that has a lot to do with having an offshore Bahamian-based company. We're going to have sweepstakes, and anyone who gets one of these BitNubes and interacts in any way in this system, there'll be a way for us to give them prizes, and then once money starts rolling in and revenue starts coming in, there'll be a way to actually award actual. It's going to be BitUSD, awarding BitUSD. And here's something I want the community to really to know about, because I have a little scheme, so to speak, you might call it, that I think really will move BitShares a lot into the consciousness of a lot of people and get a lot of media attention. What I propose to do is to have a educational award based on BitUSD, meaning that anyone who gets one of these BitNubians and they give it to someone or sell it to someone, and that person is a young person, a person in school, that person will have a chance to get some BitNubians, and not only BitNubians, but to get some BitUSD. Part of the BitUSD will go into their pocket, into their wallet, for them to spend it right on the spot. And the other part of the BitUSD will go into a wallet. It will go into a savings wallet for them to use when they get to college. And here's the caveat. This is what's really going to make the adults involved in this really happy. As of course we know, there was a time when you could throw some money into a bank and get 2, 3, 4, maybe not 4, but 2 or 3, % interest. Now those days are gone, and there's no more of that. If you can let people know that, look, if you get some of these BitNubians and one of the young people that you have gets the right BitNubian, have the system will pick it out randomly, that person can win some BitUSD, and that BitUSD will be sitting there accumulating interest for them for when they go to college. And I will tell you, my friends, black people around the world, including in the United States of America, have very little, interest-bearing accounts, stocks, bonds, whatever. There's very little activity like that going on in the black community. So that money that used to accrue from bank accounts was very, very precious, very, very precious to us. And when it started to go away, it was a bigger hit. It's a big hit for anybody, but it was an even bigger hit in the African American and African world community, because it was an easy way to get a little money saved. If you let them know that BitUSD will return that to them, they will go for it in droves.
Yeah, this is actually very interesting, because we've been talking a lot about the remittance markets and some of the stuff that you're talking about. And really, when you look at these different, like you said, a lot like the African communities, and especially in these second and third world countries, what you're seeing really in a lot of not only African, but Africa is a huge one with like M-Pesa and things like that, right? So you have users who are already using these wallets, and they're their cell phones as wallets rather, and they're already very comfortable with this.
They're more comfortable than we are, than anybody else over here. I mean, they don't have banks over there. They just have their phone.
So the question that I guess I would have would be, how do you plan on reaching those markets?
We're going to go over there and have screenings. And when we have the screenings, we're going to let them know that you can go and get these adventure stories by utilizing BitUSD to do it. And you can transfer your BitUSD through, what's the new, there's a new service that's come on that's using BitUSD that'll transfer BitUSD from Bitcoin to BitUSD and Darkcoin and all that. What's the name of Shapeshift?
Yes.
That they can use, once they get their money into a digital realm, they can shapeshift it over into something that they can utilize to get into the system. And they will do it. They will do that.
Yeah, there's also a wallet coming out very soon that'll do that too.
Now, I guess the question is, what will be the applied pressure that will get them using this? Do you believe that just bringing it there and showing it to them is going to make them go, oh, wow, this is what we need, right?
Yeah, you got to do both. You got to show them something that'll dazzle them, something that they want. And all of them, believe me, Black people all over this world, they want adventure stories that glorify African history and African life and things of that nature. They want that everywhere. It's a really, really big deal. And if you combine that with a new system of money that's not too different from the system of money that they're already using, I mean, M-Pesa and some of that other stuff that they have over there, and you let them know that to interface with that material, this is what you need to do, and they'll do it. It won't be a big it'll be a no-brainer to them. The thing about it, they don't have Visa and MasterCard and the banking system and all that kind of stuff like that over there the way they do here. And also I really have to let people know, Black Americans are almost, in some cases, like not a third world country, but a second world country. Really, if you go through the average Black community in America, you'll see a lot of really distressing things in terms of finance. A lot of people lining up because they're unbanked to get their money from money orders, and a lot of people going to these payday loan places, and they have no idea, and they would really love it for there to be some alternate place for them to bank with that they don't know about, And if you show them, here's my thing, I'm gonna have these people come to see all these things, and right there while they're watching it, I'll drop this information right in their lap. This is the new way of doing things. Not only is it a new way of getting a hold to this material that you want to see, but it's a new way to enhance your financial position. And the only thing that you need for that is just to get their attention. This is something I've been doing for a long time with my own particular business, my own particular writing, with the things that I do, my books. I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I know what the African American and the world African community really, really wants to get a hold to. Those are the two major things. A great financial situation that's different from the oppressive financial situation, and they want these images. They want these adventure stories that glorify African people.
So is this more about getting them involved, or does the usability and the accessibility of the wallets and stuff like that need to improve first?
Exactly. The game plan is to sell these BitNubians, or issue the BitNubians, and then let them know that the BitNubians will get you access to possibly prizes, and it's a collectible thing, and that's going to be a BitShares wallet that they download. And when they interface with the system will continuously let them know you have a BitShares wallet, which is what your BitNubians are stored in. Now all you need to do is put some money in it. That's what you need to do. They'll already have the wallet. And this is something that I've heard Bytemaster say time and time again. Get them to download the wallet. People download the wallet, and then they start to see the usability. Then they start to interact with it. I don't know how many people remember this history, but I can remember it even when I was little. I remember what it took, the financial industry in America. I remember what it took between the late 60s and the 80s to turn people from a cash people into a credit card people. And I think some of the people on the line here are old enough to remember every time you used to go to your mailbox, there was either some sort of thing asking you to get a credit card, or you would see a credit card or a debit card there. And this was done in the hundreds of millions for over 2 decades. They got their attention, and then they put it in their hand. They got their attention, and then through relentless badgering, they started using it. And now we're where we are today in the overpriced, underfunded, situation that we're in today in an evil way. But we're not going to do evil. We're going to do good for people.
Can you walk me through an example, like how you combine your media production? I mean, what I saw from your post is that you wrote books that sell on Amazon, and like how you combine the production of media with the like interfacing with those communities, and then how you get them to use pictures, like maybe one practical. How would you approach? Because you talked about approaching communities. How would you approach one specific community, or is it not a specific community? Maybe it is like the worldwide African community. I'm not. It's like I'm getting the idea, but it's not specific enough for me yet.
There are approximately 50 what you would call African cultural-based conventions and festivals that go on all over the country. If you count the numbers of people that these African festivals reach, it's about 8 million people every single year. We're talking Canada, the greater United States and America, and a couple of them over on the African continent itself. We will set up booths at all of these places. We will pass out postcards, flyers, whatever we have to do to these people all over the place, letting them know that they now have access to these fantastic adventure stories. And we're going to start out with animation. These fantastic adventure stories that they can see online. You can come in, and at the conventions themselves, you can come in and sit down and see a preview of it. Once they see that, we'll let them know that it's available online. When you go online and you take a look at these adventure stories, you say, okay, this is great. This is something I want to see. This is something I want my children to see. Finally, African heroes and African sheroes. All right. Once that happens, that's when you let them know that they can be involved in something called the BitNubian Media Collective, where they can actually win prizes. They can download this. They can get these BitNubians, and these BitNubians will get them merchandise. The BitNubians will get them contests where they can actually win a trip to go to some of the places that are mentioned in the adventure stories. And once you get them to say, okay, I like this idea, I like the fact that if I support this BitNubian, if I get some of these BitNubians, it'll help to create more of this content, and I can win some prizes. And all I have to do to get one of these BitNubians or some of these BitNubians is to download this wallet. Once I download the wallet and they start to interact with the system, that's when you let them know about the financial benefits of where these BitNubians come from. They come from the BitShares DAC, and the BitShares DAC has BitUSD.
Okay, two questions here. Like, so at the end of the video, like at the end of the, you mean you make by animation, you mean a video you produce, right? That can be watched on YouTube or something.
Correct.
Okay, and at the end of the video, you would say, hey, there is the BitShares software and there are the Bit Nubian tokens, and you have these and these advantages if you get your hands on them. And then that's correct, right?
That's correct. That's a part of it. Yes.
Okay, and then you said at the point when they have the wallet, that's when you let them know what like other financial potential the software has for them. Like, how would you do that? How would you let them know?
If I'm not mistaken, when you send across the BitShares community, when you use the BitShares software back and forth, it leaves room for any message that you want to send to people, other than just the money. And within that, you'll see messages, but you'll also see other things too. Right, wrapped around the content, there will be people interacting. It'll show people interacting with the BitShares network, and it'll show them doing things like putting money in, getting some interest from their BitUSD, using money that they can send from one place, in the country to a whole nother country, all around the world. A sort of like an ecosystem where you get both usability for practicality and financial concerns, and you get something that will get you access to this great new entertainment that you're not seeing anywhere else. It's really a marriage of both things.
Okay, that helped. Thanks.
BrotherG, I have a comment. You have the writing skills, and your partners have the animation skills, and the third partner has the presentation skills, right?
Yeah, we all have it together, man. My a partner, a third partner that I have not brought up. He's a fantastic animator who is right now. He's living in China, and he's just chomping at the bit to get started on this stuff. And in China, you can get what you can get in other places for a fraction of the price. So we're talking about for a relatively small amount of money, a lot of high quality and a lot of content. And this is the beauty of what I'm proposing, my friends, is that we're going to be able to crank out this content, keep it cranking, and keep BitShares in what they call the mind shares of this demographic on a regular basis. And once we get a hold to this demographic, remember, I don't know how many people have studied marketing, but that's one of the things I studied, for a long time. And black people, particularly black Americans, are considered the marketing, I guess you can say, examples, because what particularly young black people start to get into, young white people and Hispanic people and other people start to get into, that's sort of the crowd that makes things cool. And once you get a hold to them, once they start using BitShares, once they start using BitUSD, because the banking situation is not that good for their families, other kids are going to notice what they're doing and they're going to follow suit. It's been a something that the marketing and advertising people in America have known for a very, very long time.
I understand that you have those skills. What I was going to get at is there's a missing skill. You want to have some features in these new bit coins of yours, which are going to call for some programming, some coding work. And I haven't heard you mention anything about that. You need to mention something about another partner or another source that is going to do that aspect of it for you.
Running for a delegate, of course, requires a little bit of technical expertise as well.
This is how I answer that, my friend. Help.
Well, and this brings up a good point, right? What would the delegate funds in this plan be used for? Because it sounds like you have a lot of different aspects to this plan, different working parts that need to be taken care of separately to kind of converge into the final product, right? I'm kind of curious where exactly the delegate funds fit in here.
The delegate funds would go to a team. This would be a team or two that would make it business to go to all of these very important, very influential conferences and festivals all over the place and make sure that this is pushed in people's hands wherever they are. That's where the delegate funds will go towards.
At the present market cap, a delegate is going to pay approximately $1,100 worth of BTS every month at 100% rate. Do you foresee this being enough to get you to these conferences and pay the fees for booths and all of those necessities to carry out your plan?
It would get us to the most critical ones. There's about 10 of them, maybe 1 or 2 per month, that are where the most media attention would be. And some of it's a combination of some of the largest cities, like Toronto, New York, Chicago, places like that, where the media markets are huge, and those are the places where that type of money would be able to get most of its bang for the buck. And after the market cap goes up, which is, I'm determined to help it make it go up, then we will expand from there and expand out from there. Now, the plan is, my friends, to do a crowdfunding thing to fund the animation, the first part of the animation that we're doing. And part of the incentive will be some of these BitNubians. The BitNubians will be the incentive for the crowdfunding situation. And as we're doing the campaign for the crowdfunding, the BitShares part of it will be stitched into it. In other words, here's what I'm saying, fellas. Whether we meet our crowdfunding goal or not, in this initial thing that I'm talking about, BitShares will be broadcast and will be known by everyone who comes into contact with the program. So we anticipate that while we are bringing our particular projects top to mind, we're also bringing BitShares there too, because it's an integrated thing. People are going to want to know where are these BitNubians coming from. This is where they're coming from. We're going to have 1 or 2 of you guys come on, explain, kind of briefly about, where they come from, what the BitShares thing is, and what BitUSD is also. And to top it off, the cherry on the top is there's going to be 2, so I guess you can say prizes, big prizes. One's going to be the BitNubians that you get, and the other thing will be some BitUSD. What does that mean? Unlike a lot of the Kickstarters and the other crowdfunding things that will give you, some type of knickknack or some type of product, with this, you're going to get some BitNubians, and you're going to get a chance to win some BitUSD for your child to go to college.
So basically, you'll be pushing a powered by BitShares message.
Exactly.
That's that's a nice proposal. I like it a lot, and I agree with you that the African American or African population is a very valuable demographic to go for. As you mentioned, you have the animation skills and the connections in the Bahamas and such. Did you also think about making an animation or some promotional material, specifically targeted towards the African Americans, and that animation or that promotional material would be specifically about BitShares and what BitShares could bring to them or help them?
My man, I've already written within. I already put on the forum an actual, I guess you can say, a little roundup of of what I would do. And it would be something that would be very cute and practical, that'll show some kids talking about these Bit Nubians, talking about the Bit Nubians, talking about what you can get with the Bit Nubians, and talking about the fact that the Bit Nubians are part of this BitShares thing. And my mom, this is part of the dialogue. My mom says that these Bit Nubians, not these Bit Nubians, but the BitShares and the BitUSD is the only thing she knows of that'll get me some interest for my college. You're talking about, maybe some tween kids, 12, 13, young teenager kids that are going to be talking about, what this BitShares thing is all about, and the fact that it's going to get me not only this animated adventure that I really love, but it's actually something that my mom likes, because BitUSD is something that's we can put in the bank for my future. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, fellas, is to bring a sense of I guess you can say acceptance, communal acceptance for the BitShares system. I'm talking about something that appeals to people on an emotional level, where you don't have to talk to them about all the technicalities and all that stuff. They don't want to know that. They're not interested in that. They want to know two things. Will this system get me this entertainment that I want for my children, that the mainstream is not giving them? And will this system get me a viable financial platform for my family? That's what we will be focused on, and that's what I think BitShares going into the future. I think that's going to be what finally pushes BitShares over the top and differentiates it from the other quote-unquote altcoins out there. We got to make the emotional appeal. And I'm going to tell you something, my friends. Once Black Americans in particular get on board with this, and the rappers start to rap about it, and they start to talk about it on the Grammys and stuff like that, you will see BitShares will become something that Bitcoin could never even compete with.
I agree with the vision, because you see something that is very true. It's that, these younger demographics are the ones that are really going to push adoption. Where I think I'm finding a disconnect, at least in the short term, is trying to understand, is it that you'll be pushing BitShares and BitNubian to actually be something that's used on a regular basis with the African American community? And if so, then I'd like to know kind of like the background of that demographic and how they are with banking today, because you say they don't have that much banking experiences, and I want to know, besides not having access to it, the ones that do have access to it, what's the landscape for that? Like, what's the return on that, and how can we measure the way that's going to help, I guess, the larger BitShares community?
I think the way to think about that, man, is that if you remember, there's very little, I guess you can call, there's very little stocks, very little bonds. There's very little of that type of investment in the Black community, even with so-called middle-class people. I myself know many people, and I've read on many farms and many, I've been in many situations where there's a big complaint about the fact that everyone is getting paid on your money when you put it into a bank, except for the people who are putting it in there. Everybody. And this leads to a more of a disconnect, more discontent within that community, because it was really the only thing that the average Black person could count on to get a little money, to get ahead a little bit. And now that's been taken away. So you have the mainstream people, I'd say that's probably about 60% of Black people that do have bank accounts. About 40% of us probably don't have bank accounts, or very, very little, interaction with the bank, even if we do have it. But there's discontent going all the way around. And if you pile this discontent on top of other discontent about the way black people are represented in the media, you got a hell of a lot of discontent. We're going to put together a package with BitShares as the sort of like the creamy middle of it that shows people that this platform can take care of both those things that are really the major problems that are always talked about in the black community. How our images are expressed, and how we're on the bad receiving end in terms of the financial situation. And this extrapolates all the way across the world: Brazil, the Caribbean, of course, Africa. It's all over the place. If we can show them, come on in, this BitShares situation is going to get you this exciting, adventurous stuff that you want to see, and it's going to get you a financial situation that's better, way better than anything that you have been subjected to before. And we're going to just put it in front of their faces in all the ways that it can be put in front of it. You're talking about screenings. You're talking about, putting it online, all kinds of different ways, man, to get it in front of people.
Right. So I understand that. I think I'm trying to understand, like, once we get it in front of them, right, and they have it. So what exactly are they going to do with it in the short term? And how do you think that's going to help everyone else? Or is it that it's not necessarily going to help everyone else, but the fact that it's being talked about, that is going to help everyone else? Am I seeing that correct?
I think I understand what he's saying. He's saying that once they start acquiring these new bits, they're going to spend some of them to buy his content that he's going to produce, which is an uplifting content for themselves. And because they're using new bits, they'll also become aware of BitUSD and other factors. Is that right, BrotherG?
That's correct. And if you put in front of them some great deals that they can get utilizing BitUSD, then they already got the wallet. Okay, here's the thing. They already got the wallet. The wallet is sitting on their phone, on their iPad, iPod, whatever. That wallet is there. That wallet contains this BitNubian, and that BitNubian will get them all kinds of goodies that they want. So they've already breached the huge hurdle. That's the huge hurdle, is to get people to download that wallet and have any interaction with the system. Believe me, fellas, this is how the mainstream credit card people, this is how they did what they did. They put it in front of people's hands. And let me put it this way. If you get a credit card and they send you 50 credit cards a year and you throw them all away, one day you're going to have a moment of weakness, and you're going to grab that credit card. And even if you don't believe in credit cards, you're going to find yourself at the store buying a little bit of something, and you're going to get a little bit of the twinge of that, that convenience of using that credit card. And next thing you know, you are a credit card user. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have these people interact, and we're going to use those sort of techniques, but in a good way.
So it sounds like, going back to what you were talking about, this actually makes me think about when we actually spoke a couple days ago. It sounds to me like you're using what the credit cards did and their scheme that they used for the wrong reasons, right? They used it to put people in debt.
Correct.
You're taking the effectiveness of this model is what your plan is, to get people to download content or download the wallet so they can access content that their culture has largely been kept away. It's the mainstream media has starved them of this empowering content, like you kind of said about Soul Train giving you soul, right? Bringing back the soul into this media, and kind of inspiring them and empowering them on that level and getting them in that mindset. And then from that point, they have the wallet downloaded. They've got this mentality of empowerment. And now you say, hey, did you know that this wallet also offers you all the tools that you need to be empowered?
One thing I'd like to interject right here is to say congratulations on really hitting the mark in terms of how to market what we're trying to do here. Now, in contrast to what DeLulo was saying, which I understand where you're coming from, DeLulo, but I don't think we should be focusing so tightly on the technology, which is what marketing the technology does. I think he's got the right idea. We need to think of what people need, what their emotional requirements are, and hit that, because that will secondarily come. The technology will come behind that, and we'll gain more adoption if we go with that route rather than going on technology first.
How many people do you think use a credit card and realize that magnetic strip holds essentially a hash that is a unique identifier for that card that is connected to an account in a central database somewhere, that you swipe at a point of sale terminal, and then it encrypts it and tunnels it to that service? How many people do you really know who understand how the credit card works? And it's very interesting point that you make.
One thing we should not forget, you talk about credit cards, but credit cards did have the infrastructure already in place. And that's the big difference here. We do not, I'm kind of worried. So I don't know how it's in the American, with the African Americans in the US, but in Africa, if you're talking about the unbanked, they're also the unconnected people. So even though they have phones, it's mostly SMS is the biggest functionality. I don't think the majority have access to smartphones.
BrotherG, that would be true if he was just reaching out to Africa. But can you speak to that, BrotherG? I mean, does Joey have a valid point here?
He does have a valid concern, and it's something that you have to always continuously make sure that you keep in mind. They are not as connected in Africa as we are here. But here's what everyone should really pay attention to. I'm about to say something that will really put this in perspective. Black people in the Western world in particular, in the world in general, have always been used as the guinea pigs for commerce and for any type of risk that someone wants to take. The whole thing of Soul Train, you should really take a look at the history of Soul Train. Soul Train was the longest running, what you would call syndicated series in the history of television. It came about at a time when people were definitely scared of syndication. They were scared. The mainstream television industry was scared of syndication. The networks wanted to rule, and they did rule. Now, the reason why Soul Train is the beginner of what we call the most popular form of world entertainment transfer right now, which is syndication. And it was something that no one wanted to take a chance on, but they took a chance on it because it was these black people producing stuff that they really didn't believe in anyway. Once it happened, once Soul Train took off, Soul Train became the I guess you can say the example of how syndication can be used all over the world. And the people who made it work, the people that made syndication work all over the world, by syndication, there are let me put it this way, there are science fiction shows, like Star Trek and things like that all over the world that would not be in existence if black people had not paved the way by supporting Soul Train. And why did we support it? Because there was nothing else like it. Once Soul Train was known to be a success and that was a viable thing to do and to syndicate like that, once that happened, that's when everybody else took the ball and ran with it. So what I'm trying to say is black people all over the world will make this happen. They will make BitShares happen. They will make it happen. And once other people find out that it is happening, they will jump on board. And BitShares, we will have what we want.
I agree completely with you in all the assumptions you make. So in the sense that so I cannot completely confirm what you just last said, which is the African Americans be always the first demographic to use something that's then going to become successful. I'd say that's possible. I just don't know. But what I know also is, and what I agree with you completely, is that you have to appeal to people's emotions And I think there's a lot of you got the right mindset there, I think, and you also got the right strategy in the sense that putting the software or the tools into people's hands is the way to go. So I agree completely with what you say. But what I was trying to say before, and what I thought the community needs from this delegate proposal is kind of a list of specific steps or like specific actions you will take that will benefit BitShares. And because many people will go over the proposal and see a big text and a lot of talk about the assumptions you make, like about the background and the nature of the African community and such, which I think most agree on. But then what they want to see is here is what we get from when we vote for the delegate. That was my point.
My man, I am thoroughly in agreement with you. I come to you with no ego, with no know-it-all type of attitude. I come to you from my own particular background, with my own particular strengths, to bring those strengths into the strengths that BitShares itself has put together with great people, like Fuzzy, like the Bite Master, like a lot of you guys, man. You all have your own strengths. I have a particular strength in what I do. I've been doing something successfully with with my genre of entertainment in in my publishing and partly in my in my animation also. So I come from that background, and I'm coming to blend everything in with you. I'm going to submit a list that you want to see, and you will see, and I'll be able to interact with you guys so you can help me to sharpen the list so I can let you all know that this is an interactive thing that I'm doing here. This is not something that's any different from that. This is a building. This is a community building situation, and I want to let everybody know this is my own particular belief, and I wrote about this on the forum. You got to start out where you can start out when you're getting something new. No matter how good the software is, no matter how good the idea is, you got to go to a market that's going to allow you to get it off the ground. And my contention is this. I come from also a journalistic background, and journalists, we're trained to both see the most enthusiastic thing about a subject, but we're also trained to look at it, from an objective standpoint. And from both those standpoints, when you look at BitShares and the whole Bitcoin space, you're looking at a situation where we have to make sure that we reach out to a market that's going to be accessible and not knock our heads and bash our brains out with people who are content with their banking situation, with people who are content with Visa and MasterCard and try to go out there and compete with that group. That's a losing proposition, my brothers on this forum. And it'll lead to us sitting around here in 30 years with gray hair, from having this David and Goliath jousting situation. Let's do jujitsu. This is what. So I'm gonna tell you something from my days in journalism school. They taught us to do something called surrounding. If you are coming up against a hostile, meaning a hostile person that you need to get information from, or you need to get them to do something from you, you don't go directly to that person. You go to that person's enemies. You talk to their enemies and you get their enemies' input and you write that down. Then you go to their associates and you write that down. Then you go to their friends and you write that down. Then you interview their relatives. By the time you get to their relatives, they will come to you, my friend, because now everybody's getting input except for them. So if we surround the mainstream, I'm talking about mainstream people who have mainstream, bank accounts and Visa and MasterCards, we surround them and they look around and they say, what's going on over there in Africa? What's going on over there in the black community? What's going on over there, in the Hispanic community, in the Asian community? What's going on over there? They're using something that's making them happy and saving them money. And then that's how you get them. Then they will volunteer, because you can't get them head on.
Yeah, well, very well said. I think we completely agree, and I think you have the skills and the all the potential to open up a real market for the BitShares software and the tools we produce and such. And so you said before you bring a specific skill to BitShares, which is your animation and your publishing and your those and the connections and the knowledge you have about the African community. So
I do have a slight amount of gift of gab, my friend.
Say again.
I do have a slight gift of gab too. I can talk.
Right, you can talk. You can definitely talk. I also saw your video, like the G-Span video. G-Span, do you say that? Yeah, it was very good.
C-Span, yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. And so I have two questions. Like before you said you bring these qualities to the BitShares community. And is it that you're asking the community also, like in that sense, it's interactive? Are you asking what the BitShares community thinks, or like how the BitShares community thinks those skills can be best utilized for BitShares?
Man, I am interacting with the BitShares community as Fuzzy has invited me in to be a community member. And as a community member, we work as a community. So I ask you what you can come in and bring in. You ask me what I can come in and bring in, and we work together.
That makes a lot of sense. So that's great. So I like to get practical. I mean, I could say what I can bring in is I can do. I think I can describe the BitShares system and what it gives to people in relatively simple terms. And if you like, we can do some type of media production, and that's specifically geared or targeted towards African Americans together. And I think there are a lot of other people that can do something similar as I can, and that we are very open towards like joining forces in that sense.
That works for me, my man. I don't have the technical skills to run a delegate, so I'll be asking somebody to come in to help take care of that. And of course, I don't know how to program a user-issued asset also, so I'm asking the community to come in and help with these, with those things also.
Hey, BrotherG, I've already got the gray hair, so I'm in a bigger hurry than even you. And I want to get this going as fast as I can. I'm in love with your vision. I think you're right. I think it's the way to go. But I have to comment that you have to get elected, and that's not an easy task. Some people have been trying to get elected for a long time now.
Yeah, I thoroughly understand that, man, and I'm going to. I'm going to.
Well, let me finish first, okay? Let me finish with what I was going to say, or I'm going to lose my thought, because as I said, I'm getting old. So part of my job is to help point out the weaknesses in your presentation, so that when it does come before the whole voting community, and remember, a lot of the big voters, the ones with a lot of stake, are in China, and they don't know that much about the American culture and what you're talking about. So they're going to see things from a financial perspective mainly. And I have a lot of financial background in my life. So let me point out the weakness that I see. I already mentioned it. You're going to need to partner up with somebody who can do coding, not just run your delegate, do actual coding, because the point you're putting forward of using your bit noobs for doing draws and awards and prizes is going to take coding. And you're either going to have a partner who does coding, or you're going to have to pay someone who does coding.
You're
and
right,
believe me, from what you're going to get in the beginning, now at our present market cap, from having a delegate is not going to pay for a coder. So you're going to need to find a partner, somebody who believes in your vision and who's going to come in on it with you.
Right.
And let me point out that is a similar weakness to what Solly's presentation is, and you guys should get together for lunch, really.
Can I ask a question real quick? Regarding I'm assuming here that a lot of the coding you're talking about is going to be with respect to the wallet. Is that correct? Once upon a time?
Yes, it is.
And also running the delegate.
Yeah, well, yeah, the delegate's a different aspect to a degree. It doesn't require too much coding. But my question largely was with respect to that, because to my knowledge, we do have a couple wallets, mobile wallets, that are going to be open source. So it shouldn't necessarily take too much to retool that open source code and kind of give it a new style to fit certain demographics.
The hard part is to track the new bits in order to award prizes to some of them.
Well, let's try not to call them new bits, because they're bit Nubians.
Sorry,
just not to confuse people. But
yeah, don't confuse me with that.
So you're saying to track the bit Nubians? Well, wouldn't that necessarily become a function of the decentralized exchange and all the user issued assets?
Well, I'm not a technical person, so I'm just giving you my perspective on this. But he's talking about running a lottery for owners of these, partially. That's only a small part of his vision. But he's talking about having a lottery for owners of these bit Nubians. And that's going to be not difficult, but it's going to take some coding, and not a small amount, a fair amount. And that's very expensive unless you've got a partner who's going to be an equity partner sort of thing.
Sure,
I agree with you, my friend. That is the kind of usefulness of the bit noobs is the foundation of what I'm doing. So indeed, you are right. It's going to take creating these bit Nubians, man. They have to be they have to have a lot of I guess you can say character to them. A lot of usefulness to them. So it's going to take that coding. You're right.
I think it doesn't take any coding. So issuing a user-issued asset doesn't take any coding, and all the benefits, or all the things that make the BitNubians valuable, that can be all centralized. So if it's a lottery, the lottery can be centralized. It doesn't have to be on-chain or something. I don't think any coding is necessary, except setting up a delegate.
Since we are on that topic, I'd like to really drill into this, because I think it's going to help everybody who has similar visions to this, and we're already seeing similar visions pop up, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's basically what I was going to comment on, not so much the coding, but that there's a lot of commonality, as was mentioned earlier, between Solly's vision and what yours is, BrotherG. And I like both of them, but they're both extremely expensive efforts. Marketing is expensive. I mean, we've heard pushback to a certain, I don't want to call it pushback, but we've heard some issues from Method X about how expensive it is to do what he's doing. And he's got a delegate position, and it's just a lot of expense to do this. And I myself am running to be a delegate, not personally, but with a partnership with Genso. And he's doing a lot of great things in the community, and we still haven't gotten voted in, and it's been several weeks now. So
Right.
it's an uphill battle, and we're not needing any near the amount of funds that you are with these two African-type marketing efforts that you guys have brought to the table here. But they're really good. I love the vision and passion.
We're going to be doing several ongoing crowdfunding situations, and in doing that, we're going to get way more money from our intention is to get these BitNubians created, and the BitNubians will be the foundation of the crowdfunding situation. Once we get that done, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to branch out crowdfunding the Caribbean.
Kind of looking at the delegate funds to be a source of seed revenue, and then use when you get started to a certain level, then you'll be able to draw upon the community that you're bootstrapping to do the rest of the bulk of the funding.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm right with the method that Bytemaster has laid out, and that is to use that delegate funding as a seed funding. Use it as seed funding, and then once you build out and build up what you're building towards, then you get away from that seed funding and you find a way to interact with the BitShares community from more of a business standpoint. It's it's sort of, I mean, this is kind of like, like if it was a corporation, it's kind of like a corporation helping to create sort of like an offshoot that's going to help that corporation do what it does, and then once that takes place, the situation will now, it's sort of like they loan the money or they grant some money to this smaller outlet. Then once that outlet gets, once that endeavor grows big enough, then it becomes a trading partner with the corporation. That's what we're talking about.
I think the advantage, BrotherG, you have is that you are doing like what you're doing anyway. You're doing anyway these animation videos and such, and on top of that, you can advertise BitShares. So I think it's not that much more like it's not a own marketing effort that needs a ton of money and stuff.
But you're right. You're exactly right about that. This is getting done, no matter what. It's being done. I'll send you all some links to some of the animated stuff. I've done a couple of different preview animation things, and I'll let you take a look at some of that stuff. So yeah, this is getting done. It just gels so well with BitShares because I do not want to let PayPal and Visa and the rest of the pirates take over from a financial standpoint, to take over this endeavor. I don't want that. I want, this decentralized, wonderful technology of BitShares to be the mechanism for interacting with this, with the payment mechanism of what we're talking about. So yeah, the delegate would help to just be seed money to get it started, and then once it gets going, I think everybody can really understand my enthusiasm for BitShares is not contingent upon me being a delegate or even talking to you guys at all. My enthusiasm for BitShares comes from what I see what BitShares is, what it can do.
It's a tool. That's what you see it as. It's a tool. You got a vision to get something done, and you see it as a tool to get done. That's great. That's really where we want to go. It is
the best tool, way better than PayPal and all the rest of these pirates out here. It's way better than that, and it's going to be utilized. Let me put it this way: if all you guys said, BrotherG, that's garbage. I don't think it's going to help us. Nothing's, we don't want to be involved with it. We're not going to vote for you. We don't even want to talk to you. That's still not going to stop me from sometime in the future, after this thing gets going, incorporating BitShares as being the payment mechanism and the interaction mechanism of this thing. So yeah, man, that's where I'm coming from.
That's great. Like I love your community attitude. There's one thing like I'd like to put out as an advice to get you elected, because I will vote for you anyway, but to get as many people to vote for you as possible, I think two things are important. Like Fluxer555 said, a teaser would be great. So that shows what you can do for BitShares practically, like some video or something that already advertises BitShares you put out there. That for one. And the second thing is make a list of the things you will do for BitShares practically. So you say, I will make at the end of the videos of the animation videos I make, I will advertise BitShares and get the people to download the BitShares wallet because they want the new the BitNubians. And that's the one thing I'm going to do. Next bullet point is what I'm going to do is maybe if you're planning that is animation or promotional videos for BitShares targeted towards the American African population, and so tangible things where the shareholders know, okay, that's where we get like a benefit, like a financial benefit from.
So you're basically advocating that he do something initially that directly advertises BitShares, as opposed to necessarily his project, to A, show people in the community what he can do, and B, provide a service that is very much needed right now and kind of aim it into the direction that he's going to try to take his marketing efforts anyway?
I mean, not necessarily something that is advertising BitShares uniquely, but something tangible where people can see, okay, this is how BrotherG's marketing for BitShares could look like in the future. Like, that's the opposite of a long text. When people have to read a long text, and that's the first thing, not many people are going to read a long text. And then a text is always never as tangible and as it's never as tangible as a video because the video is already closer to the end product you're producing. You're producing an animated video, and at the end of the animated video, there's some advertising of BitShares. And the more your teaser is close to what you're finally going to do for BitShares, the more tangible it is for the shareholder. That's the one thing. And the second thing is make a list of bullet points of the practical things that will come out of this delegate campaign.
I will be making a pitch video for the crowdfunding, which will include that. The pitch video is going to talk about not only the animation that I'm going to be producing, but it's going to talk about the BitNubians and where the BitNubians come from. What's the practicality of this BitShares DAC that the BitNubians come from? You know, the fact that once you get into these BitNubians, you know, now you're poised to get into a personal banking situation that's better than the banking situation that you are used to. So that's going to be part of the pitch that I'm going to do. So it's going to do two things. That pitch will be useful for getting people to come in for the crowdfunding to get the BitNubians, and it'll also explain to people what this means to the BitShares community. Also, I plan to do it in one video.
That sounds perfect to me. Like, couldn't that be better? And I'm very grateful that you're here and share your perspective on everything.
Hey man, this is remember what I said. This is a communal type of thing. And when you get into a communal type of thing, if you're really sincere about it, what you're trying to do is improve the community. You're not coming in to disrupt. You're not coming in and take over. You're coming in to, if you think you have something of value to bring into a situation, that's how you're supposed to come in, and that's what I'm doing.
I think I speak for everyone here by saying that it's awesome to see that the market is already bringing in people to fulfill the needs that our DAC has primarily needed to fill and has been having. The only place that we've really struggled is in the marketing of this content. And we're starting to see a spectrum of people who have marketing experience and content production experience that reaches out to various demographics. So it's going to be very interesting. I actually think that one of the biggest things that we can do right now is to have as many effective marketing delegates as possible. That's going to bring in the big investors.
You're so right, Fuzzy. You got to have that feel-good marketing, man. The feel-good marketing is what you have to have. And I'm going to tell you, man, if this is not done, and if this is not done, if something like this and other efforts of what I call feel-good marketing is not done, then you're going to get people that start to get into desperate measures. And what are the desperate measures? The desperate measures are the porn. The desperate measures are the dark side of the gambling side. And I'm not against any of that as the legitimacy of things. I'm saying that if you have a world-changing, wonderful family, thing that's good, something that's good for families like BitShares, you don't want to come out with something like that as a lead. You want to come out with something that everybody turns to, that's good for people's families, for kids, that's good for somebody that's been oppressed historically, And now, you want your effort to be associated with something that is of a progressive, uplifting nature for people. And I'm not saying that, gambling and porn is something bad, from that respect. I'm saying that you want something of a higher level for your stuff to be associated with. And then, you can take care of that other stuff later on, man. But you got to have this to lead sort of the point of the spear, of what you're doing. And this is you're taking something where you can earn some interest from BitUSD, and people need money for their kids in college, man. That's a kernel of goodness that anybody in the world, man, can get to, and we need to focus on that type of thing in order to push where we really want to push to.
This is the type of rich discussion that this is here for. This is so much different, isn't it, from going to some place like Bitcoin Talk, where and it's not to put down Bitcoin, but the paradigm there is for these announcement threads, where you don't get to interact with the people who are actually wanting to get money from you in the form of Bitcoin for a project. You've kind of answered a lot of difficult questions today. And that's kind of what this is here for. And I thank everybody who comes to these sessions, and we are going to be, I assure you, collaborating in the future to try to find a way where everybody here is going to, who consistently is here, is going to have opportunities to earn money or tokens that will be redeemable for something in the future. So I appreciate everybody doing what you're doing. The community is what makes this, and all of you entrepreneurs who have a vision and a passion, who want to reach out and actually change the dang world, that's what we're going to do. You guys are the crazy ones, and the crazy ones change the world, right? That's that whole Apple commercial. But I'm going to end it at this, and let's take it to the forums. And if you would like, reach out to me in the future, and we can update the community on these things. I'd like to really get a pulse on this stuff. And as these community hangouts grow, there's going to be a lot more room for a lot more content production, and we can help each other out here.
Here, my friend. I've really enjoyed interacting with you guys. You guys have done what I wanted, which was to ask me and interact with me with some hard questions and require me to answer them. This is what I come here for. You don't come to a community for anything else.
BrotherG, is there a website that you would like to give anybody who's listening to go check out, or
just Google BrotherG and MEMNON, and you'll see some videos online of me speaking on C-SPAN. You can go to Amazon.com and just put in. Go ahead and put in the latest project that the animation is going to be based on. I have a book series called Princess Nefertari. This is a historical figure from ancient Egypt, and the animation that I'm talking about, the first animated piece is going to be based on that book. So if you go to Amazon, type in Princess Nefertari, and look at and read the reviews, and you'll see what we're talking about. It's an African-based multi-ethnic story that I think anybody can really enjoy. If you have kids, just go and get a book and get it for them, get it for yourself. That's what I'm basing the first animated piece on. It's something I think is going to go very, very well in the animation community, because it's doing very well in the book publishing community too.
Well, sounds good, man. I think we can end it here, and we'll resume these in the future, and I'll leave it at that for right now, and I'll let everybody know that if they're interested in doing these hangouts or setting up informal hangouts, recording the content and posting it to the Beyond Bitcoin site, we're looking for people who want to create their own content about their own projects. And this is going to be the place where you actually prove it, as opposed to just asking for money in an announcement thread. So, heck yeah. Thank you.